Just take a look at that.
Blow after blow, Homa Bay Governor Cyprian Awiti has had it all. This morning, Governor Awiti received the bitter verdict of the petition against his re-election. The High Court has officially invalidated his win on the August 8th. While announcing the ruling at the Homa Bay High Court, Justice Joseph Karanja said that the IEBC failed in delivering a credible election. The presiding judge further ordered for fresh elections to be conducted within 60 days, citing that the petitioner Oyugi Magwanga convinced the court that the election was a fraud. Immediately after Awiti was declared the winner of the August 8th governor race, his closest rival Oyugi Magwanga disputed the results, something Magwanga's supporters were equally not happy about and took to the streets in protest. Magwanga cited glaring irregularities in the election, prompting his petition against Governor Awiti.
I won with a big margin. The time has come that they must start jogging how to get out.
On the 7th of November 2017, the former Kasipul Member of Parliament won the first round of his petition after the Homa Bay High Court granted his application seeking scrutiny of the Forms 37A, B and C that were used to declare Awiti as the winner. Later in the month of December, Governor Awiti suffered another setback when the same court ordered for a recount of votes cast in all the 400 polling stations in the county.
240, candidate Cyprian Awiti 161.
However, following the invalidation of his win, Governor Awiti is set to appeal the ruling.
Your sentiments?
No, the election of Homa Bay County, right from the start during the nomination. By the way, I come from Homa Bay County, even though I don't vote there, but I follow the politics keenly. There were issues during the primaries where the former governor was also accused of getting the certificates through backdoor. And the petitioner followed that case through. That's why he became an independent. So for me, I think it will not be proper for, the governor to attack the court after his election was nullified, but let him proceed. He has a right to go and appeal. If the Court of Appeal says, okay, fine, we can listen to you, that's okay. But I don't think anything much changing because the politics on the ground is that this is a guy who used his influence to get the nomination and then go through. We need to stop these politics of tribal mobilization because the reason why some of these governors won, in quotes, because of the party of the day, they are equally capable, independent guys who could win those seats, or rather who won those seats, and they were denied the opportunity because they were not in the proper party. We are saying that for us to grow this democracy, then we must listen to individuals, what they are going to offer. The Homa Bay people of Homa Bay should listen to Magwanga the same way they listen to Awiti and any other person.
Right.
But this case, I think there's no point of appeal.
Okay, Gary, you watched what is going on in Homa Bay and Awiti's win been nullified. Maybe you can bring us up to speed on your sentiments and what do you think is going to happen next? What next for Homa Bay?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't suppress the will of the people for long. Clearly, there's something wrong that happened. And it didn't just happen during the election. It came right through from the nomination. We know how nominations are conducted by parties in this country.
Yeah.
We know that whoever ends up being on the ballot is the guy who the party leader is favoring at that particular time for one interest or another. But we, as my brother is saying, we need to move away from the kind of politics where a big man sits somewhere and because he leads a party has the right to appoint people and yet try and feign a sort of nomination process. It's happened in all parties. It's not just an NASA or ODM thing. It happened also for the ruling party. And there are so many complaints of the same nature. We need to move away from that. But also, more critically, let's also look at IEBC. How many election petitions have been brought and how many elections have been nullified as a result throughout the country? We focused so much on the presidential election, we sort of forgot about all these other seats.
The governors and
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So the rate at which election petitions are being successfully advocated for in courts leaves a lot to be discerned from the IEBC. They need to take stock before we get to another election cycle. Because if we don't, then we're going to be in an endless cycle.
Yeah,
and we honestly need some sobriety when it comes to elections.
Because it's also wasting a lot of time and money. So do you guys agree with Kagiri by saying that the people to blame here, or rather the body that needs to be blamed here, is the IEBC?
Yes, I agree with Kagiri, but we also have to remember that at the time that the elections are being conducted, we had a newly established, not newly established, but the guys at the helm of IEBC, the commissioners, had newly begun their work. They were barely 1 year. So I think they were still trying to get used to the job. They could be under a lot of pressure, but that is not an excuse for them to conduct shambolic nominations and further elections. But again, going back to the Awiti story, I heard him say that he is still the governor. So that means that he was spiteful of the judgment. And I think that is a wrong approach. You see, when we talk about adherence to the rule of law and constitutionalism, it has to start from the leadership. So if one is spiteful of court orders and court cases, what does that tell the person, the common person at the, at the grassroots? That means that, court orders do not have any effect to anyone at any time. So what I expected of Awiti, if at all he wants to retain his position as governor, is to make an application to the Court of Appeal, setting aside the judgment of the High Court and reinstating the previous position, whereby he would continue being a governor. But the problem with such a declaration is that it is thought to be usurpacious of the public will. Remember that in 2013, the Supreme Court came under sharp scrutiny when there was the case of Nathif Juma. There was also the case of Mary Wambui of Othaya. Whereby every loser from the Court of Appeal moved to the Supreme Court with an injunction setting aside, an application setting aside the erstwhile ruling of the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. And those orders were granted. And critics looked at that as a usurpacious approach, whereby the court was declaring who was elected or who won at the behest of the electorate. So again, there is trouble with that, and we wait to see what the Court of Appeal is going to do with that, how they are going to canvass that matter.
All right.